Ever wonder what it's like to contact the dead? Well, you've come to the right place.
It's the apocalypse!
Follow me if you want to live.
Who are you?
I'm a dad. Welcome to the Dad's Doomsday Guide, where you and your family learn how to survive. Oh, there's so much doom. Let's listen now.
Tim O'Hara, how are you?
I'm amazing. Yourself?
I am doing fantastic. You just got back from traveling, right? How'd your daughter handle the flight?
The poor thing was on a plane for a few hours, and then we got off, and then you have all that energy as a kid, and you just want to run. So the customs where you cross over, into Mexico, they check your passport and all that. You can't cross a certain line, yellow line. Of course, at that moment, she decided to run into Mexico.
That's the starting line
on her own, and past their custom employees, and the guy wasn't looking too happy. But I'm like, it's a kid, so I had to run after her. Obviously, I'm not going to let her run over there by herself. Hell no. So I ran after her and I caught her, and I had to come back. So I basically crossed over to Mexico and came back without him checking my passport. He was pissed.
That's a movie right
he
there.
He said something to Sada in Spanish about like, oh, I could have you guys, detained and all that stuff. Like, yeah, whatever, man. Detain a 2-year-old. I just thought it was childish on his part. He was acting like a hurt older sibling. Like, oh, you can't do that when I tell you not to. Like, come on, man. Like, kids are kids.
You messed with his authority.
I mean, they're fast too. She's a little ninja, man. She's like,
remember that time we were at the restaurant and she bolted from you? And dude, there's like a there's like a walkway, and there's like it's like a raised, wall. So it's like hip level. So I can't see her running, but I could see you running, and you're just like zigzagging it through this restaurant, trying to catch an unseen little person. And it was really, really funny. And then you came back all sweaty.
Yeah, that restaurant had that path all the way around. So everybody was sitting like around the perimeter. So she was just running. I was dodging waiters and tables and people. It's stressful. You start sweating. You're like, oh God, because they're fast.
Yeah, that's why people have their kids on leashes, yeah.
Well, I had one for a while for her, and then I didn't put it on her. Now I'm past that phase. Yeah, I should have used it. I bought it. I never used it.
Yeah, I guess that's a good moral to not to buy leashes for your kids and use them.
It was a cool giraffe leash.
Speaking of running away from something, I took my kids to Disneyland. I was walking up to the security gate because everybody who's been to Disneyland in Southern California, now they have like security gates. And you have to check your bags and everything else because you never know the crazies that could get in there, which is a whole nother topic. But I get up there. So my daughter likes to turn around on the top car seat, or the top seat, and like face the other way. She wasn't buckled in. She's older, so she doesn't have to be. So for all you critics out there.
Did you say topsy?
Yeah, it's a double stroller. So there's like a top seat and a bottom seat. They kind of are stacked on each other. So she's in the top seat. And for whatever reason, I was ready to go. She had turned herself around to where her back was facing out. So if you push it, she's going to flip out. And I pushed it, and she flipped out. And she went boom and smacked the pavement. And everybody was looking at me. She started screaming. I was sweaty. I was like, oh my God. My kid's like, she was just really freaking out. I think it scared her. Plus, obviously it hurt. So I went over, picked her up.
She hit her head or no?
She hit mostly her body, but then like hit her head a little bit because they catch themselves. They're like cats. They always land on their feet. I just lied. That doesn't happen very often at all.
Their heads are pretty big though. Their heads kind of take over.
Yeah, it's hard, the muscle control.
Yeah.
So then I take her through. I get them all situated. We sit down. She's okay. And then we start walking, and then just this enormous like queen wasp descends from the heavens. And I swear to God, I have a thing with wasp people because I had to knock some nests down around my house, and I got stung. This thing was like, picture a wasp, then picture like, I don't know, 20 times that. The thing was enormous. And it starts coming at me, and then coming at my kids. And I just freak out, and I'm running down the Disney walk, pushing the stroller. Everybody's looking at me, and I'm swatting the air as this thing's trying to attack me. Dude, it was like the most stressful entrance to Disneyland I've ever had in my life. And I was just like, it was hot. It was like 92. I was just like, oh, it was horrible. I don't know what the moral of that story is. I don't know. Make sure your kid's strapped in and
don't do what you do.
Yeah, don't do what I do. But that was the most, stressful thing lately that I did. But they ended up having a good time. So, as mentioned in the last episode, we're focusing on demonic possession to start the show. Now, we could have gone to a lot of different little places to start this bad boy off, but we're picking something that scares the shit out of me to start. Really start diving in deep to what the hell could be watching me when I can't see it. So that's fun. Anyway, we thought the best place to start would be, of course, a psychic medium and a witch. All right. How many people have seen the witches out there? Yeah, it's scary. But this isn't that kind of witch. We went to a good witch's house because we would have not gone into a bad witch's house, right, Tim?
No, that definitely wouldn't happen.
She has conducted seances, clearings, and sessions on radio, film, and TV, including the Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures. She's worked with Martin Sheen, Burt Reynolds, and John Voight, just to name a few people. She is a proud owner of a haunted doll from, I believe, Belgium. The dolls.
Just a doll in general. Like, if you're not a Barbie doll, I don't like it.
Hey, do you think they've ever had a possessed or a haunted Barbie doll?
No, I don't think so. They're not creepy at all. Because a Barbie wouldn't be creepy coming at you. You'd be like, oh, it's kind of hot. It's always the dolls from like the 1800s, 1900s. It's never like a Barbie doll.
It's never a Barbie doll.
In her convertible.
Or it's a Cabbage Patch Kid. It's like just
My Buddy. My Buddy.
Yeah. What about the other ones when we were little? Care Bears? Just a possessed Care Bear, just like stalking you in a room.
Maybe there is a possessed.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it if you guys have a possessed Care Bear.
Possessed Care Bear or Barbie.
Please let us know. That would be interesting.
I just never hear anything about that.
That's where it's kind of like, I trust what she was saying. Like, I have no reason to disbelieve it. You know, you have to have proof one way or another. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're just lying because I don't believe it because I haven't experienced it. Nor am I just going to believe everything because someone tells me to.
Well, I think it's really interesting if someone has that ability to be able to channel like that type of world and let other people see it is really cool.
It's like, I want to see evidence of it, have it happen.
I wouldn't rather not have that happen to me.
I totally agree.
My daughter has
anything.
I'd rather not be attacked by a gang of Barbie dolls.
Dude, there's a story. I think it's by the guy who wrote a lot of Twilight Zones. Why am I forgetting his name right now? He has short stories, but this woman had like this little tribal thing in her house. A really creepy story. And this little thing's coming after her the whole time and stabbing her and going like trying to get her and kill her. And then at the very end, it was really creepy. She like throws it in the oven and she's turning it on. And she's like, oh, you're thinking, oh, she won. But the thing like looks at her through the glass. And the way he wrote it, it was so creepy. But the thing possesses her. So now it's in her. So the thing was just possessed the whole time. And now she has it in herself. Is it Matheson? I think the same guy who wrote Nightmare at 20,000 Feet wrote that one. Oh, for those of you who haven't seen that, it's a thing on the plane. Yeah. It's crashing the plane for Twilight Zone. The 80s version is much better.
Great movie.
Don't watch the one with Captain Kirk.
No, it's like a furry marshmallow on the wing.
It'll ruin everything I built up about that story. Yeah, so please watch the 80s version. It's actually really.
So this should be we've never talked to any medium or psychic or anybody. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I just always thought it was just whatever. I mean, I don't know. I didn't ever really, to be honest, I never really believed it. So,
well, isn't there a part of you that's like, okay, there's probably the entertainment con person point of view, right? Or the person coming from that point of perspective. And then there's the gypsy in the woods and Wolfman who's like, oh, she's legit. She's legit.
I had a person at work, like I never knew, there was an older lady and I never knew she could see ghosts or anything. And one day it just came out of nowhere that she had like an Indian follow her home from a reservation and she could see him in her yard. And I'm like, what? Like I thought she was just like a little kind of nice older lady, not a. She's like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for years, ghost hunting, paranormal stuff. And I just talked to her briefly about it. I was working, so I wasn't able to talk too much, but I was kind of caught off guard. Like, are you crazy or is this real? I just couldn't, I don't know. I would have to sit there and talk to her for like an hour to dissect her brain. And then even then I wouldn't probably know.
If you had to say, if you got a sense about her, would you say, hey, there's something maybe a little bit off about you? I know it's not fair. You need to go to a psychologist or psychiatrist and get the medical. But I'm saying from your perspective, were you like, okay, this person's put together. I maybe could believe this. Or is this like, whoa, you're not taking your medication?
She's really nice, really normal, like nothing. But no, not at all.
I've known some people who said they could see things like that. And the one person in particular, but that didn't end well. So I don't know. Yeah, I shouldn't have brought that up. So you had no idea what this person you were talking to?
No. So I honestly couldn't tell. I never talked to her about it again after that either. Because then I left that job and I was like, oh. It was interesting. It was really interesting. But I mean, I would have liked to know more, but whatever. So now we have this interview.
Yeah, it was great. And my intro got derailed. But yeah, she was kind enough to have us into her home to discuss at great length kind of her perspective about what these things are and what you can do if either you want them in your life or you don't want them in your life. Because Me personally, I don't want them in my life. It's a weird thing. I want to know for sure.
Who would? It distract you from everything.
Dude, she does. I think she's quite comfortable with that stuff coming in and out, and promoting that perspective that you can have a relationship with that side and it not be threatening. You know what I mean? Whereas like if you talk to an exorcist, they're going to say, don't do that. You don't know what you're messing with. You have to understand when we talk to these people, take it as, it's their opinion, it's their point of view.
Correct.
So you can't sue us if what you do doesn't work. And just a heads up, everybody, this will be a 2-part interview, with this being part 1. Please welcome author of Old World Magic for the Modern World, international bestseller, Patti Negri. Well, Patti, thank you so much for coming on. I guess the first thing would be for people who maybe don't know or haven't thought too much about it in terms of the spiritual world and what you're dealing with. What are the type of things you come across? Because for us, it's kind of a Catholic background. It's angels, demons, ghosts, and there's not a whole lot of area around that. And as far as your experience, what have you come into contact with? What are people dealing with when you start getting into that?
There's all sorts of things of the other realm. There's our little 3-dimensional whatever world where nothing is solid. We know that, 7th grade science. This isn't solid. We're not solid. And then there's the other world, which is just as real and just as not solid as ours. There's ghosts, which are people. They were people. They were human people. And they're usually crossed over. That's rarely the shade that doesn't know they're dead. Sometimes that is. They're the ones like maybe they died violently or unexpectedly and they just haven't figured it out. And those are the ones actually easy to cross over. But most are fine. They come back and visit because they can. They like to hang out. So that's the one thing that you get. Then there is the residual, which is the more like a video of haunting. That's almost something torn in. That's what you get at the bed and breakfast when the lady in white walks by at midnight. That poor ghost doesn't have to follow a pattern. They're the ones who won't react back. It's something like so strong happened that it like tore the fabric, almost like burned into a video. And then there's the everything else realm, things that were never human. That's getting into the angels and the demons and the elementals, tree spirits, animal spirits, fairy spirits. If you want to go there, extraterrestrial spirits.
Okay.
That's the everything else realm. And that's kind of limitless of what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if someone were to be dealing with, like on a regular basis, what do you find people are interacting with most? Or is it all across the board?
Mostly, I think it's mostly ghosts, mostly spirits, again, mostly crossed over, and it's not usually demonic. Mm-hmm. It really takes a lot for demonic. I mean, severe addiction problems will bring in demonic. Severe mental imbalances will bring in. But usually, even some people think it's just a cranky ass ghost. It's just like, even when I was somewhere where somebody burst into flames, it wasn't demonic. It was just a cranky, very theatrical ghost. Big in life, big in death.
You had somebody burst into flames?
Yes, I did.
Please do tell.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This won't happen here, I promise. But no, I was actually, and we caught it on camera. I was doing a documentary about a house. It's right in this neighborhood in the Hollywood Hills, old 1920s neighborhood. The house was built by Charlie Chaplin for his lover, Mary Astor, a silent movie film. And it was a crazy party house of the day. And then the Rolling Stones at one point, manager bought it. Rolling Stones lived there, Mamas and Papas, Grant Parsons, then the person who invented the real life sex doll, and then most recently, Marilyn Manson lived and recorded there as my neighbor. And the house attracted kind of chaotic, creative people, maybe even a little bit dark. Marilyn recorded in the basement. So they were doing all this crazy activity. The house was built in the 1920s, and almost like with sacred geometry. There literally is a compass on the floor, painted in the floor, and you walk in 4 levels. Everything's in 12s, almost like Masonic temple built for energy. Wow. But we were doing a seance, and we had a bunch of young people when they're between puberty and early 20s have lots of life force. So lots of stuff always happens. So I tell people, it's okay to be skeptical, but you have to be respectful because whether you believe it or not, it's real. And these ghosts don't like
Right.
Disrespect. Who does?
Yeah.
So first we're getting this one kid, maybe because he was on TV or whatever, was just being kind of a smart alecky. Where we're getting some heavy information, good information. We're using a Ouija board. We're using all sorts of things. And at first, cool things were happening. Like the French doors blew open. And the producer side of me was like, wow, that's like special effects. That's kind of cool. But no, I wouldn't ever fake anything. The fake and real have to be very separate. But then that happened again. And then the record player came on, like white noise coming out the speakers, which weren't plugged in. But the tension's building, but this kid was getting really kind of disrespectful. So then we were getting some heavy information about something that had happened in the basement back in the 1920s. And literally my cameraman facing the kid who's at the table, just burst into flames. Like in a V up his back, like angel wings of fire, no candles, no anything, spontaneous combustion.
Jeez.
And everybody starts screaming. And I start calling in my guides, my guardian, and I'm a medic. I'm an EMT. I was like, drop and roll. And I become, we're doing all this stuff. 2 cameras actually caught it. 2 cameras didn't. His camera, of course, didn't. And then one camera hit the ceiling or hit the floor. I guess you test the ability of a cameraman by the room bursting into flames.
Did he get burned?
There was a lot of blistering on his back. I'm shutting it down. But he got more inspired by it than anything. His shirt burnt off him like it was synthetic, which it was a cotton. It should not have went poof like a polyester or something. But I'm like, no. But he was like, no, I have a sweater. Forget the shirt. Took the shirt off. I talked to the spirit. Literally, it's like, you got this. We're not even going to get rid of you at the end of the seance. Usually I do that. This is, again, big in life, big in death. This was very theatrical. Hollywood has big theatrical ghosts.
And you still have the footage from that?
Yeah, we have some footage from
my
that somewhere.
No.
But what happened? No. What happened is, so I talked to the ghost. We got it. They all calmed down. A few more things happened. But the coolest thing is that he showed me 3 weeks later. He was so inspired. He actually ended up writing a script with Stephen Norrington, the guy who wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and the Blade series, who's gone way left of center out of Hollywood. They haven't done it yet, but about a psychic who does lots of TV, Hollywood, and then a portal opens up. But I sat down with him for like hours going, no, you can't say that on TV. It'll be a cursed film. Those are real words that will open up portals. No, let's make up words. But the coolest thing is he showed me like 3 weeks after where the blistering was on his back. And it literally looked like he had almost went and got a tattoo of a dragon.
Oh, crazy.
He had open mouth and the teeth and the wing thing into the shape of a serpent. I'm like a tramp stamp. He had a little tramp stamp. And that's exactly who I called in to shut down the seance. I work dragon energy. It's just crossroads energy. It's positive energy, but it's crossroads energy. It's powerful. So it was
crazy.
like, wow. Yeah, that was on the cover of his little movie if he ever gets around to doing it.
What first came to you as a kid? Like a ghost?
I think it was, again, I really do believe all kids are really born with a gift. It just gets taught out of them. Oh, their imagination versus this. We are not our Western modern world is not mystical at all. Even our religion isn't very mystical. Catholicism is more than most, actually. It's very similar to the pagan, but mostly there isn't, oh, that's your imaginary friend. But it was the monster in the closet and under the bed. Again, I'd never heard that everybody had a monster in the closet, but there was, and I knew them, and there was good ones and not so good ones. But I kind of always knew that I was okay because this is our realm. And I teach that, I preach that. This is our realm of existence. Anything else doesn't have power over us unless we give it to it. And people don't know better, so they give it to it, or with fear, or with anger, which will feed it something negative.
So when you hear, like these hauntings about how it was getting haunted, like what Amityville horror,
what would be
like? How does that happen? How does it get to that point?
It can happen lots of things. It could be the space itself, the ground itself, charged ground. Like here in the Hollywood Hills, there's a huge vortex. I honestly think that Hollywood is right here and not 30 miles this way or that way. It drew in the dreamers, the writers, the actors, and the religious. We have a monastery right here. We have theosophy. We have Vedanta. It just drew in the kind of right brain people, but it could be the land under it. It could be something in it, or the people draw it in. Again, negative stuff gets brought in with lots of negativity, arguing. Again, addiction problems are the worst. That's the stuff that I have. The one house I've never been able to clear was because it has a huge drug background, and the drug still, and people had died in every room, and it just oozed back in.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about kind of those things impacting a home or something, does an object have to be directly tied to the event to have for something to latch onto it, like a house or like a doll or something like that? Or is it whatever that energy or that ghost or spirit wants to?
There's no rule. Again, dolls are fun. I have a haunted doll, my Belle,
Yeah, we'll have to talk
because
about
they have only because they have faces, they have eyes, they take on a humanness. But it could be a haunted, pot just as much as anything else, or your vase or whatever, or just the energy itself. It doesn't have to take a form into something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, like the Conjuring movies, like those. I love those movies.
Yeah,
is
they're
there
great.
truth? Like the Warrens.
I think so. I never got to meet them. I never got to meet them, but yeah, I can only speak for all the stuff I've done, and I've done a lot of stuff. And everything is 100% real. Nothing has been faked. Nothing ever. When I do ghost adventures, they will blindfold me if they have to. They'll leave me in the car. They'll leave me in the van. I don't get to know what they've discovered, what they've done, anything. It's just.
They want it authentic.
They want it authentic.
Yeah.
They want it. And so it's like, I'm always scared going, what if I get crickets? But they're always such charged places. I just kind of figure out exactly what happened. And that's what's fun about equipment too, because I'm low tech. I work with chimes and incense and Ouija boards and dowsing rods, when all their fancy like SLS cameras for years, and me going, it goes like this and it's dancing over your head. Now all of a sudden there's a camera that will show it in the other room when I don't see what's going on. It's doing the same thing that I'm talking about. That's kind of cool.
Now, when you talk about like a haunted house or a haunted object, now you mentioned portals earlier. What is that, and how does that happen? And is what needed for something to come into this world regardless? Is it always that gateway?
There's never an always.
Okay.
There's never a regular. Everything. It's just like with humans are all different. That's all different. Mirrors can be portals, and the biggest, because again, even in science,
at a mirror right now.
Yes, you are, and that's where you're going to see spirits and ghosts, because it's literally in this mundane world. It goes from our real world to a two-dimensional world. It's a portal. And when you get two mirrors that face each other, that's a spirit highway. And people do that by accident, and they don't know. A lot of bathrooms have that. That's why there's a lot of activity. The front mirror, back mirror. When you get that infinity thing going, you just opened a freeway.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I'm always like, that's pretty cool. Like Cheesecake Factory has that 2 mirrors. And and I'm looking at myself like way down there.
Yeah.
You get a ghost in the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
Probably. Places like that. I can't tell you how many clearings I do in law offices, restaurants, homes. I've done beauty shops, everything, because stuff. I just did a clearing on a huge warehouse, a makeup warehouse, that there was this ghost hanging around. It really looked like it was like looking for opening drawers, and I just felt somebody had a rough life and a rough death, is still looking for whatever he's still looking for, and everybody was seeing it. And these are people, again, not looking for ghost things, not watching ghosty shows.
Yeah.
Now, when you see a ghost, do you see like a full like person? Does that make sense?
How are they
Like,
taking on their shapes?
transparent?
Are they most of the time energy and orbs? Because I think a lot of people would say they've experienced that in photos or different things. Or are you seeing manifestations of people or things that don't look human?
Both. I see both. That's the different clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, see, smell. Sometimes you see it. That is a large barrel-chested man, balding with, his leg in a cat. I see it on the outside, literally a form, kind of transparent. Sometimes you see it inside your head, that third eye seeing. It's the same thing with smells and scents. But I see shapes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, do they see you?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah, and residual hauntings don't. Again, that's that thing we talked about, the bed and breakfast. It's just the same thing happens over and over again. That's just like watching a video. But they see me. They see me coming. They almost, if somebody who he's kind of gifted or opened up that gift for themselves, it's like an open sign. It's like, oh, they could see me. Hello.
So are they aware they're a ghost? Do they know that, or is it just like this?
Almost always they do know they're ghosts.
Really?
Yeah, and they're fine. Death seems fine for the other side. Death is hard on the living. Those left behind, the spouses, the children, all that. The other side, they're fine. And almost kind of you go to where you want to go. It's the old Sumerian belief that, Catholics are going to go to your Catholic heaven. Somebody believes in this is kind of go that. Because I think it's a little more matrixy.
Because I was going to ask you that is I know it's, especially when you work in your field and you're coming across people with different faiths and you don't necessarily want to kind of get involved in any kind of debate or what's real, what's not. But if you had to pick it for yourself, and in terms of these ghosts hanging around, do you think majority do or don't, or go on to whatever's next? Or
I think, yes, I think it's essences of. I think nothing dies. Science has sort of proved that, it just changes. So they can hang around. I personally believe in reincarnation, but I figured out who I was. And okay, I'm that person. I found the house not knowing the address. I knew everything in the house. Okay, we have parallel lives. She was born, died at 30. I was born 30 years later. My life, all this stuff that, okay, I'm this person. And then all of a sudden I'm doing a seance and there she is. It's like, whoa, there. How does this work? There goes my whole theory. And I'm so confused. But essences of, I don't believe there's time and space on the other side. So that's hard for us too, to not take that. But if it's there, I think you could go to your own personal heaven and still hang around. You could be reincarnated and you're now your grandchild. And wow, you play the piano just like grandpa and all of the above. I think essences of, like energy, like little ancestry lines.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is the complete, this is Elvis. I was Elvis in my last life.
Right.
You might have some little Elvis cells.
one of the things was what you just mentioned was like a recording plays and like it's burnt into like the fabric of our time. So like if you came into your room every night at 3 a.m. and like somebody was walking, opening a drawer, looking at something, so you think that's like a burnt memory of something more traumatic that maybe happened?
Yeah, that's a residual haunt, and which a lot of places are. And then you get into the poltergeisty stuff. That's another option. That's a spirit gets formed because of the human energy. Maybe again, lots of arguing, lots of this, and then things are flying around the room. That's just the energy that bundled up and created it. We create spirits all the time. We do. What the spirit of love, the spirit is going to be easy. The spirit of it's going to be hard. A spirit is just a way of being, but we create spirits too all the time.
So my wife's from Peru. So she grew up in this, I think the house was like 100 years old. It was owned by, oh God, I think it was at once like in one giant house, and it got shrunk down to apartments. So there was different people living on different levels. She had two other sisters. And I think when they were around elementary age, my wife witnessed, what is the little roller cars that we see? You have business cards in them and you turn it.
Oh yeah, Rolodex. Rolodex.
Yeah. So there was like one of those with a lamp. And one night she saw it spinning and it was just turning all on its own.
Really?
Yeah. And then at night, this would happen more than once. The furniture, because they'd all sleep in one room, the furniture was all wooden, kind of like this, and it would move around the room, and they'd hear it, and they'd all get scared and hide in the bed, and doesn't talk about it that much. I know it's real because she's kind of still a little creeped out by it. What is that? Is that like
Well, again, it could have been a lot. It could have been a spirit hanging out and moving things around, or it could have been that poltergeisty energy, or it could, again, getting into elementals. There could be mischievous, like fairies. I believe fairies are real. So whether you believe they're a little Tinkerbell or just the energy of whatever that causes the little flashes in the eye and a lot of levity.
My daughter would want to think it's Tinkerbell, I'm sure.
Yeah, Tinkerbell.
So when you're talking about that energy there, is it, when it's mischievous, is that to mess with you, to kind of get a rile, as a kind of a joke, kind of more innocent, like, hey, watch these people react and kind of freak out? Or is it just, is there some other meaning to that activity in that house?
Could be either. It could be, again, there's no everything, like most people are good. There's some people who are bad. Most ghosts are good. There's some who are bad. Some have a maliciousness to them. Some are just mischievous. Like if you're getting into that fairy energy, they're great. They cause levity in life, but they start to steal things. They start to steal shiny things like earrings and keys. They'll give them back. They will give them back if you bribe them. Whiskey works. Honey works.
Whiskey.
Whoa.
Cream works.
And that's something you leave out, or is?
Yeah, I was Beltane Eve, which is May Day, which is like fairy night. So when the veil is thinnest, just like at Halloween, Samhain, the veil is the thinnest, and that's for the dead to cross over. And at May Day, it's for life, and the fairies hold it up. But I was down in my backyard. I have a big backyard, and I had put this little cup with like 6 little sections that you would put different things in. I put half honey and half cream in each, so dark honey and a white cream. And I scripted it together. So it looks sort of like a cappuccino or something. And I made a wish with each one. And I left that for the fairies. Went back in the morning. They had separated. 3 just had honey. 3 just had cream.
Whoa.
Nobody had gone down there. Nobody couldn't. It was like
Deconstructed.
Deconstructed.
Wow.
That's a fairy thing.
Okay.
And again, if you do want to bribe them, because give me back my keys, give me back my earrings, you'll find it in the weirdest places that you could not have put it.
Yeah, that's normally where I find my keys.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I lose everything.
Maybe. It's a lot of fairies.
Keys and wallets.
Speaking of mischievous, though, now do you want to ask about the doll?
Yeah, because I keep looking at it. So what's the story behind the doll?
Belle, my Belle.
Yeah.
She is a 104-year-old German doll. She was given to me. A girl from Belgium called me up. She had tried for 3 years. She'd bought it in an antique store. The doll made her sick, made her hair fall out, made her little toddler sick. Unless it was in the drawer or in the shed, which the doll didn't like. She had seen me on an episode of Ghost Adventures, I think, or Deadly Possessions, doing a seance with a much darker doll, with Peggy the doll, who's given 2 people heart attacks. The girls, when I did the seance with Peggy originally, they wouldn't even be on the same plane coming over from the UK as the doll.
No kidding.
They had a black thing over her head. She's dark. So she saw me doing a seance with this doll, and one of the girls who had been given a heart attack from the doll and thing. And she goes, well, if I could handle Peggy, I could handle this doll. So she wrapped it up and sent it.
No, I don't want to interrupt, but you said give 2 people heart attacks. Is that out of like fright? So doing something to them, or actually?
It's just dark doll, evil doll. And she is now, anybody likes this stuff, go to Zach Bagan's museum in Las Vegas. She's there. And now he put one of those ghost boxes that she talks and she cusses people out.
Oh,
yeah. And she recognized me. I hadn't seen her in a while. Every time I'd been to the museum, I'd been filming in the dark or locked in a room. For the first time last year, went as a regular tourist, see how regular people do. And they have the Peggy room, and they even say, your own risk if you want to go in this room or that room or the demon house room. You know, there's theatrics behind this, but it's legit. So she just knew me. I mean, I was like,
So creepy.
So my Belle, I had a dark spirit too, but I know what I'm doing. I was able to get rid of the dark spirit, and underneath the dark, make people sick spirit was this beautiful little, kind of 7-8-year-old girl who I think had kind of a rough life and she loves living here because I have people here all the time. I have animals. I have married to a musician. We have music. And she runs around. When we're downstairs, you hear her running around upstairs. Her eyes are always moving. Anybody who walks in knows her mood. Even, again, not mystical people, not what they consider intuitive. 3 people in a row say, "Ooh, Belle's mad, Belle's mad, Belle's mad." Or Belle's happy, Belle's happy, Belle's happy.
So you hear footsteps back and forth on the top? Oh, man. I think I might run out of the house if I heard that.
Yeah, my poor husband, because this isn't his world either. It's like when he comes in and pictures are out of frame or this, that. I hear this, Patty, hi, what? Okay.
He's like, it happened again.
So what mood is she in right now?
She's really happy.
Is she?
Yeah,
Okay.
she would be even happier if she was over here. But she's really happy.
Wow.
Now, when you talk about the 7 or 8-year-old girl that's kind of in there underneath the evil presence, what evil presence are we talking about? Are we talking about just a bad person that got latched onto it? Or are we talking about something that's more...
I don't know. I got rid of it so fast. I really didn't want to, but I had a girlfriend over here and we had done this, open her up on Facebook Live. Again, 50,000 hits. But I think that was people who like package opening over the haunted doll. I don't get that boxing thing.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's good 50,000 hits though.
Yeah.
You should unbox more stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go wrap up my dog. And look what comes out.
We should take a picture of that later so we can.
If you're okay with that.
Of course, anything. So I wanted to hold on to it for a second because I knew I could handle it. I put some rue herbs in her hand. I have symbols and sigils on her, but Shauna wouldn't leave my house until we banished this dark.
So how do you?
So I don't know what it was.
How do you do that? Like, what is the? Is it a
there's
big
lots
process?
of ways. There's lots of ways you could do it from your beliefs. I believe in mind, body, spirit. That's a home run. 200,000 books are written about that, whether it's the spiritual section, the self-help section, psychology section. You have to believe in your head because we won't do anything without belief. You have to take action somehow, mind, body.
Sure.
And the spirit is the magic. That's the less tangible. That can be your faith. It can be belief system. You could go to church and pray. It could be new age. It could be affirmations. It could be vision boards. It could be spell working like I do, where you shift energy, working with herbs, working with oils, working with candles. And this was literally kind of like a non-Catholic version of an exorcism.
Okay.
Again, it's intent, like pray, you kind of combine the herbs, the prayers, the this, the that.
How do you sense that it's something evil? Is it just based off stories, or do you have to experience it first yourself?
You have to experience it. It's intuition. Everybody has intuition. If something feels a little off, it probably is. If something feels good, it probably is. We've numbed that out by society again for whatever reason. But if we brought that back, that sense of virtue, integrity, rightness and wrongness, it's not all black and white, but we really do know.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
life is not all black and white.
Yeah,
But,
it makes sense that would translate to
Yeah.
a supernatural or a spiritual world.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like a Catholic exorcism where it's like they have specific prayers, so then it'd be just basically mirroring that, but it's more like you're drawing upon multiple things
Yeah,
to kind of achieve that.
I work elementally because I don't want to conflict. My grandfather was this very famous of the day psychoanalyst and practically card carrying evangelical atheist. He did he did not believe in anything and thought it was a weakness, any kind of religion or spirituality. But he knew more about religions than almost anybody. Read the Bible more, read everything. But again, he thought it was a weakness. So I grew up without anything, which is probably kind of good. But I'd see energy like pass, whether it's a church or a synagogue or a temple, I'd see the energy of the people and I'd want to go in. I think I was 13 before I was really brave enough to going, can I go to church with a friend? Because there was some cute rock band or something, the Jesus age. And my mom's like, you could do anything you want. I could do anything I want. And I became a seeker. So I went to every kind of Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, this, and tried it. And I kind of ended up on a little more pagan elemental, like Native American, more pagan, more Celtic. Because I think whatever it is, it's just our template. It's whatever roadmap you want to do. You might use the word God and Jesus and Mary, or you might use the word tree, spirit, nature and this, or you might use the word, I read my grandpa's books now, and it's still almost the same belief system. He's just using very academic and science word. But if I see energy, and if it's that energy below that, it doesn't matter what template, they're all right. And they can all be wrong. But if you find your truth within it, it's just your roadmap.
So you find that they're all effective as long as you have a connection with it and you believe in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is it clear from the beginning that you're dealing with something that's not good?
It usually is.
Okay.
You see kind of, again, almost like a dark ooze and things. A lot of what I do, I can't talk about some of the really good stuff, but I was in a very famous murder castle recently where somebody had killed somebody and had to tell this guy. And the black ooze, like almost like little monsters, almost like you would see in those horror movies, those things that come up. It's like, it was all over the place. Like, this is dark. There's no questioning if this is not a little mischievous this or that. Or
Now, are you ever afraid?
Oh,
That was thinking Vanessa.
you get scared, but yes, because again, it's almost like somebody going boo around a corner. I do get scared, but I also have to stay confident. Again, I know enough in almost every belief system, enough to be dangerous, that, okay, so if this is going to be a big old Celtic god coming in or a Buddhist god, or this is a whatever, I'm gonna know how to deal with it a little bit. But again, my firmest belief since I was a kid is that this is our realm of existence. We are human. This is our world. So just going, again, I have the right herbs, I have the right oils, I have the right sounds, but isn't strong as anything. It's just going, no, this is my body. This is my house. You are not welcome here. You get out. And really it works. It's like in the name of whatever, in the name of God, in the name of your dog, in the name of your Louboutin shoes, in the name, whatever. No anger, because that'll feed, no fear, because that'll feed the negative. But just like a disciplinarian parent, like you're a good parent. No, I'm sorry. You're touching me. You can't touch me.
Yeah.
Well, as a kid, that's like, when you're like, because we're on our house, we didn't have a big house, but like our room was way at the other end of the bathroom at night. You'd have to go all the way down the hall to the bathroom.
Sprinting.
And, as kids, you just believe in ghosts and that kind of sort of thing. And I don't know why, but I was always freaked out to go to the bathroom. Were you?
Come closer to
Were
that.
you ever? Sorry. Were you ever scared to go to the bathroom?
All the time. And it's weird because you think about what came first. Like, did I see something that got me scared, or was I just innately scared of the dark, or is something you just aware, like you said, of children being more aware of that kind of thing?
Like the Ouija board thing, like you're growing up with a Ouija board and don't mess with a Ouija board. How true is that?
I've been playing with a Ouija board my entire life, and I've never had a bad experience but I know what I'm doing, and I innately knew. You could look at it one thing, you go, it's a piece of cardboard with numbers and letters, or you can go, it is a portal to the other side. It is a portal. I don't think it should be sold at toy stores. I don't think it should have that set. This is a game. This is a toy. I have a beautiful Barbie pink one. That's probably not. I love it, but
Well, because I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, but you just have to know what you're doing a little bit. You don't just say, anybody out there? Is there any ghosts or spirits? Really? Anybody? Are you going to open your front door of where you live and let anybody in?
That's a really good
and
point.
then think that they're wisdom? Then tell me what's going on in my life. What if it's a 7-Eleven drunkard ghost? What if it's a crazy ghost? What if it's somebody dark who says that your grandma's not? Be really specific of who you only, when I'm doing my seance, only spirits allowed in who are attached to people here, who are ancestors, who are loved ones, maybe spirit guides. And that's how you get.
So that was the only thing that threw me off, is because you can look at a toy store and you can't go, oh, it's plastic and it's pieces. And everybody does it at sleepovers and it's fine, and you don't think that it maybe shouldn't be sold at a store. That's actually...
Yeah.
The movie, have you seen it? So it's called Veronica.
Mm-mm.
I think it was made in Latin America. It was based on these teenage girls, and they found a Ouija board and they messed around with it in the attic, and one got possessed. It's based on a true story. I don't know how true it is, but I was like, oh man.
Because you look at that and then you look at... I have another friend who buys Ouija boards and does it obsessively because he wants something to happen. And so, but nothing has yet for him. And so you start... I mean, that's a reason for people not to believe, but then do spirits see that and kind of go, it's going to be a mockery, or it's going to be, I mean, how do they decide what comes through, what doesn't come through? Are people doing it wrong? Like, what's the...
Yeah, I think it could be both. It could be both. If somebody just mockery or wants it so bad, then again, that desire is so bad, or else they don't really believe. You kind of have to, when you're working on the other side, you kind of have to shut down that left brain, that sense of reason. Go to more like the childlikeness of a child and the faith of a child, that anything can happen here. Mm-hmm. Again, you have to guide so it's something good, not something bad, but I've gotten amazing information. I've gotten like iPhone codes. I got an iPhone code. That's logical. I mean, this beautiful young man had died, leaving his young wife and a young kid. He had an illness. And they sat there with his iPhone and they couldn't get off the pictures and videos or anything they knew was there. And that was about the same time a year or two ago when the FBI was trying to get Apple to give iPhone.
Yeah.
Apple wouldn't do it because for some criminal thing. Yeah. But I'm like, I should have just used a Ouija board. It's like 79235. Open it up,
Oh my God.
Yeah, again, directed practicality. It's good. Don't just be going, any demons? Because you're going to get them.
Yeah.
Really. And again, don't just think it's going to be wise. Ghosts aren't wise unless you're going into the angelic realm or the higher realm or the ascended masters. That's wise. But otherwise, the ghosts are just the same people they were. Maybe a little bit. I always say they have a slightly higher perspective. Some of the pettiness goes away. Yeah, I didn't mean to be mad at my sister about that. But other than that, they're them.
Now, speaking of, I guess you can start getting into kind of like when you're talking about buying a Ouija board, being careful. Like people start dabbling with this stuff and don't really know what to do or kind of what rules they should be adhering to keep themselves safe. Now, what would you recommend to someone who was like, not even just a Ouija board, but maybe it's, whatever other objects they want to play with, they're kind of like tinkering with? What's safe to not start attracting things?
Again, set your space, your sacred space. This is the area I'm using. Know your belief system. Who are you going to call if you do get scared? Is it God? Is it Jesus? Is it your angels? Is it what do you believe in? Is it the strength of a tree? Know something, or at least Superman, doesn't matter. Know your belief system and then set boundaries for what it is. Be very clear when you open it up, whether you light a candle, and very close when you shut it down. You tap a Ouija board to open it up and you shut it down. You say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. You close the door consciously, energetically, in every which way. Because it doesn't just a Ouija board. People who work with pendulums, that's a portal too. I work with dowsing rods all the time. Everything can be a portal. All the new, more technology stuff like ghost radar, ghost EMF meters. And I have the dollar ghost radar app on my phone. I put it on as a joke and it told me the news 3 hours before the news happened. Very specific news.
So people are getting these things maybe and thinking they're like toys,
when
it's not, and you can invite something in. Because I'm assuming that if you don't maybe have a belief system in like God or something, and you start throwing it out there when stuff starts getting gnarly, it might not work.
Well, I don't know. Again, it's all the intent, whatever the words are. If your intent, like this is my house, this is my whatever, the power of me. If you don't believe in God or something, the power of just this is mine.
Take some ownership.
Having a strong-willed person, maybe.
Yeah.
The weaker people are the ones, right?
Yeah.
Gets more.
Yeah. Again, if you've got a little bit of a mental imbalance, don't play in this world. If you've got a severe addiction problem, don't play in this world.
And they feed on that. Why or how? What's the mechanism there?
I don't really know. It just it can let in a darkness.
Yeah.
It can let in a darkness.
Now, do you believe or do you acknowledge a presence of kind of like, when people would describe a devil or a Satan, is there a driving force behind that dark stuff, or is it just scattered energy? What in your experience have you ever come across like the darkest stuff?
No, I think there's dark and there's light, whatever word you want to give it. I don't see it as traditional God and devil, Satan kind of a thing, but there's certainly dark energy and light energy. And I think we kind of form it our way too. Like you saw the monster from the witches look like this, the dark. Just like our eyes, when we see, we're making things up in our eyes. We flip things over. I think the same thing is true. We grasp onto what we know and create it. So your demon is going to look sort of like what you think a demon is, and I think they can shapeshift a little bit.
Okay, that's creepy.
Yeah, because remember, Dad? He was my dad works up. Well, he's retired now, but he works at it's a Catholic retreat center, but it's a really old house. I don't know how old it is.
It's very old. Yeah, it was like donated.
1900s,
people passed
like
away.
Spanish style, and he's a pretty just straightforward guy.
Black and white.
Yeah.
That's not much like, that's not real.
Yeah,
I think it's more
so,
like not wanting to be afraid too.
Those fall the
Like-
hardest.
Yeah, like Dirty Harry. That's
Yeah.
That's how I am. So he was up there. I think he was alone one day, and he heard kids' footsteps running up the stairs, and there were like tile steps in the house. And he ran up and looked, and there was nobody there.
Yeah,
and that freaked him out.
It
He was
happened.
like,
And it's going to happen more and more because as we move, the veil is thinning between these worlds. Literally, as we move into that age of Aquarius, they sang about in the 60s, within 500 years of that, the age, there's not as much, again, not that there is anything solid ground, but that black and white, right and wrong, our parents, this is what I know. It's getting shaky. We look at the world around us. So you got to have a little bit more liquid. So more and more unexplainable is going to happen. But also science and spirituality are completely coming together too. Whether you take it down to numbers, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, I think it's all going to just meld into one big.
Yeah. And why you say it's thinning? How come?
I think it's, again, as we're going into another age, it just is. It's the shift.
And when you're talking about,
we're sitting on a ball, like flying through space.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
It is
when you
crazy.
think
It's
about
crazy
it.
when
Like,
you think
they're
about it.
like talking about science, though, and they're talking about dimensions and how many there are, and how there may be some just right on top of us, and it's like, we just aren't aware of seeing it, and maybe that's where things are kind of crossing over, and it gets a little
I
interesting.
think so. And all that, the major part of our brain we don't use, what if all that magic is right in there?
Oh yeah, because we just work, go home, work, sleep.
Yeah.
Like you're not.
And when you
really-
see something, it's like,
yeah, you just freak out.
I'm a huge scaredy cat. I mean, it was really hard for me when we started talking about doing this podcast and doing something. They're like, well, hey, let's take some extreme situations families might find themselves in. What if that happens? What do you do to get out of it? And it was interesting because we're both new dads, and it seemed applicable and all that. But it was really hard for me to start like listening to exorcists talk, to mediums talk, and you start getting into the spirit world because you can't see it. And you're talking about fear. And it's like, it's really easy for me to get afraid. So if like something came at me, I'd be like, frozen. My mom, she's got some crazy stories, and she's a couple. I mean, she was asleep at night, just went to bed. It was like around 2 or 3, and started hearing whispering, like a whole conversation out in the family room, and nobody's there. And I'm sleeping in the far hall and stuff. And she just was frozen solid. And I feel like that's the reaction that so many people probably would have. It's just you freeze because you're like trying to process like what's happening. Is this really going on? Am I dreaming?
I think the unexplained too. Like you can't.
We don't know how to process.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like overload.
So how would you, assuming something, I mean, if it's playing a trick on you, goofing off, or if it's something dark, like when you say try not to be afraid, like do you have any like tips to not like freeze like that?
Everybody's going to freeze for a second. But again, and that's where you kind of feel, does this feel, other than the shock of, I've never seen a ghost before, get past, does it feel bad or good? If it feels bad, just like, no, get out. However you want to do it, prayer or what. And if it feels good, don't be afraid to talk to it. Everybody does kind of do the jaw drop, like, huh? Yeah. And then the ghost is like, huh? And it's like, what did you say? I think, no, we just stared at it. Well, just ask questions, even yes, no questions. Were you human? Are you a ghost? Are you an angel? Are you something dark? Were you male? Were you female? Is there gender here? And then listen for your answers, whether you get a yes or you just hear inside, that's a yes, or a no.
You're going to hurt me? You're
gonna hurt me? Yeah, you can't hurt me. No,
yeah, right.
So
that's be positive, right?
If something is
like that doll's just creeping me out.
Well, she said she got rid of the bad.
Yeah,
I know.
Good.
Has she moved? Have you noticed her?
I was like
trying to see. Honest to God, honestly, I'll be really serious about
Can we bring it over here or no?
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can take a pause.
Let's do that. I just see
she'll make you so happy.
Yeah.
Make me start sweating here.
I just did a French TV show. It's on Canal, kind of their PBS.
Great. The doll's coming
whole
closer.
The series is on paranormal It's on sex. The whole series on sex. And my episode was paranormal sex because I'm considered an expert in spectrophilia, which is post-human sex. Because I've had enough clients that have
Ghost
had...
to
I've
human?
had,
Sorry.
yeah, ghost and human and ghost.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Yes. It's been around forever. It's if you look into
have to discuss.
biblical incubus, succubus.
I've heard
but usually
of that.
hear the bad side, but there is a good side. My best friend's husband died, and he came to her in a good way. So, do you want her higher ups?
Oh, whatever's comfortable for you to hold and talk. If it's like,
how you doing, baby?
I'm honest to God, I'll be truthful about this. When I came in and we just started talking, you just mentioned it. I looked over at it, and for a second, I'm like, are her eyes moving? It was really weird. And then you said, oh, she turns around and looks around. I know it's a reaction probably a lot of people have when they look at a doll, but I really did think, where did her eyes just move? It was a weird, almost like when you look at one of those trick sculptures that moves with you. It was something like that.
She does do that. She does all sorts of things. And again, this is porcelain. It can't really move, but you can always kind of tell what's going on. Her eyes do the up and down thing, but they'll move sideways. Sometimes they get stuck up in her head. But she's a little ham. She's turned into a little ham.
How old is that doll? Maybe you said it.
104.
104 years old. It's been in existence.
Yeah, she's I think 1915 or something like that.
Wow.
Is when she was built.
And she was doing what again to the?
Yeah, what was she doing to the woman?
She made her horribly sick. And made her hair fall out, and her little girl sick, and her little missing fingers. I told her what? Yeah, they're dirty. I'm afraid to wash them. Wow. This is called composite. That's why this is plastic. She can't be 104. It's called composite. It's made from wood and whatever of the day was.
So that can age and probably just start decaying then
I
over
guess.
time.
I don't know what happened to her little fingers, but I would keep her just sort of like Dixie cups of rue and herbs and mugwort and all the stuff that would keep her protected. Keep me protected and everybody protected. Because she used to really drain people's energy.
Well, what are the symptoms of that? Like you just feel tired?
You get tired. Really? You get really tired, a little fuzzy.
And when you're around it?
Yeah.
Okay. And that just stopped once you got rid of the evil?
Yeah. Well, no, I got rid of the evil right away. Even after the evil was gone, she drained energy for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
How long have you had her now?
A year and a half, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, she's fine.
And why would they? Why all of a sudden her chair starts scooting a little bit more that way? How warm? Why do they drain energy? What's the?
I think it's just that's how spirits move. That happens. Like if I'm doing, people do investigations, or if I do ritual or magical work or a seance. The drum just played.
That was a drum?
That was a drum.
That's my ghost. That's Adrian or Belle.
Oh, God.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to part 1 of our interview with Patti Negri. Be sure to click on the next episode for the conclusion. You know what I feel like, Tim?
No, what?
I feel like buying a drum kit. Play some drums, huh?
Yeah, maybe. If they play by themselves, I'm out. That'd be kind of cool. I would try and videotape it, get some evidence. That's what I wouldn't just run away. Like people just run away when things happen. Try and videotape it. Get something on video.
Yeah, you have a lot of cell phones, people. Let's try to videotape some stuff. Maybe send it in to us, right?
And you might have that nervous energy going and you're trying to hit the button to record something, but you can't hit the button fast enough. And you're trying to find the app to open the app or find that you're swiping around and then your hands are sweaty and then they're slipping over the screen. Then you drop your phone and you pick it up. And by the time you actually hit the button, you're done. Everything's done.
Yeah, you're screwed. You just messed up the whole experience. Now no one believes you and you're crazy. So hey, if you have any videos or anything cool, guys, send it to podcast@dadsdoomsdayguide.com. And remember, social media, hit us up, Instagram, Twitter, SCO24, SCO24, Tim O'Hara 25, TIMOHARA 25. And make sure you check out our website and YouTube channel and subscribe, people. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
You've been listening to the Dad's Doomsday Guide.
So enlightening. I loved it.
Get more episodes and videos at themadmachinist.com.
Superb.
Oh, hell yeah.